Okay, I'm going to be taking a look at a couple things today. Thank you everyone for coming today. Last week I was sick. I'm so sorry. I've been just a little bit teleported out of this realm and in the realm of suffer or die. But I'm feeling much better now. To get started, here's some announcements. We've got a community challenge, which is an amazing challenge, which I want you all to be a part of. Go to istebrak.com. And it's free to join, you guys. There's no fee to join a challenge. In fact, you get stuff for joining, for winning. So it's right here pinned at the top. Welcome back to class, community challenge, ancient weapon design. So the month is coming to a close. This design challenge will be due mid-February, around possibly the 11th or the 16th. And it is an amazing little challenge. A lot of you have enjoyed it in the past. Everybody joined, and I think that we had, what was it again? That's how like 30 people posted or 40 submissions. What was it, like 50? I really forget what the tally was on that. But it was a lot of submissions. Enough for me to critique, like enough for one person. It's not like, you know, thousands of submissions, like some kind of Blizzard challenge or something. But it's enough for me to critique, and I consider 40 pieces in a single hour a lot of work to do. I don't even know how I used to do that. I guess I didn't really go in depth critiquing them. So yeah, read through it. There's a video of the past challenge. There's the resource pack you can download from my Dropbox. And if you are enjoying what you're seeing in these classes and you want to just you want to join us on Patreon, you can, even if it's for $1. That's $12 a year a person. But if you want to keep this community alive and well years to come, and to keep it independent, keep my videos and content exactly as it is right now, then you can join on Patreon and send your support my way. If you want an alternative to private tutoring that's a little bit more affordable, you're still accountable, but it's a very relaxed environment for skill building and assignments, you can also join as an apprentice on Patreon. And that's it, I think. To submit stuff for Critique Hour, you just click on the Reddit icon again. And it takes you to the Reddit, and that's where you can join and submit work for the community challenge contest. There are rewards, by the way. Read through the little thingy, and there you can get critiqued and stuff like that. Okay, so I have a bit of a cold still. I might have to like pause and just cough and clear my throat every couple minutes or so, which is right now. 1 second. I don't think it's too late to start now. Someone is asking, do you think it's too late to start now for the community challenge? You have a little under a month to keep going. So you have 16 days almost, and like a week. So you have a month actually. 3 weeks. So yeah, a little under a month to get started. So you can probably make it. 3 weeks. I think you can probably paint an illustration in 3 weeks. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at two pieces. I'm not sure which one I want to take a look at first. Might take a look at this one just so we could talk about measurement, because one of the things about this year's critique hours was that I was trying to focus a lot on skill building, basic skills, and one of them is measurement. We covered measurement last class. I wanted to do that again just to hammer it in. And make sure that it's a nice amount of content dedicated to measurement in my channel should I need to reference someone to them. That way there's a nice bundling of them in the same vicinity or time period. And then I'll take a look at this one, which is really cool and fun, and I want to show you how to fix the lighting because it does look a little bit stale and flat. But cool layout though. Alright, so for this piece, it's very, very simple, quick work. Jump into Liquify, and we're talking about measurement. So before I jump into Liquify, the basics of measurement is, as I talked about last class, is find one section that's working that you can just dedicate yourself to. So once you have everything down, general brush strokes you've blocked in, find an area that you're trying your hardest to get this area to look the best. And based off this area that you pick, you're guiding yourself along these lines that help you find other areas. This is just by using landmarks to create a mapping system. So you didn't do that. I feel like a lot of your measurements are kind of wacky, and it feels a little bit like a different person. And when it comes to measurement, really the best thing to do is to try to get the likeness down if you're practicing measurement. If you're just trying to figure out values and understand value sharing, fix your value sharing, understand layout and form, understand the basics of folds, understand the geometric anatomy of shapes, form, values, contrast. If you're trying to just figure out all your edges, then you don't need to worry about likeness for working with a reference, because you're here just for the form, which is the flesh, the data. But if you're here for the likeness, which is because, you know, in the future, you might have an instance where someone hires you and you have to work with the references they give you for the sake of the likeness. You're gonna have to know how to work with it. Sorry, I have some tea here on this side. So what I'm gonna do is that's exactly what I do in my mind, but my mind takes shortcuts because I've used the long way a lot of times. So back then, when I used to have a lot of trouble figuring out my lines, I used to create symmetry lines on my reference. Actually draw the symmetry line on your reference. Whoever this deviant art-based troll that comes around telling people you can't measure or draw on your reference at all is a dumbass. Don't listen to them. They're an absolute idiot. Please do just bastardize your references. Pull them apart. Break them apart. I showed you guys last class how to prepare your reference for referencing. So there's messing with the actual piece. So like do it using all kinds of filters on it to limit the information available to you. So using just Gaussian blur alone is an amazing trick because it limits the amount of information available to you to overuse. Sometimes references have an abundance of information that messes with a student's ability to create a focal point. So just detailing or erasing only at the details you will need. So the eyes are 100% erased. The mouth is less erased. And that's pretty much what your paintings look like now. It's just very minimal detail, maximum detail around the eyes, minimal detail everywhere else. All right, so if that's something you need to do as well, do that. Use the mosaic, use Gaussian blur totally, actually paint away things that you feel are distracting you. One thing that my students have been doing in private tutoring, and in fact it's a requirement, is to just completely paint away the pupil and the iris. In your case, you particularly, this particular student, always do that from now on. You are having a lot of trouble figuring out the structure of the eye as it is combined with the pupil. So separate the two, then don't combine them. Don't burden yourself with that anymore. Just see if you can just capture the size and strength of the pupil and the iris, and then bring in of the structure of the eye, and then bring in the pupil and the iris. All right. So yep, I'm jumping into Liquify to just correct these things. So I'm going to correct them, not much with any more like lesson building. I'm just correcting them based off what I see the issue is, because your question on Reddit was, am I missing anything? There's a lot you're missing. There's a proper shape to the eye, which is a rough thing for me to jump into because Liquify is still so glitchy. Son of a bitch. And then there is kind of a desperation in her eyebrows. You know, like this. It kind of looks like she's almost about to cry or is in pain a little bit or uncomfortable. So, capturing the nuance of expression is a whole unit in and of itself. You really need to ask yourself, you know, am I trying to capture likeness and the expression in that likeness, and how do I prepare for that? God damn it. Alright. My density is super high as well, but that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so just based off the placement of the eyebrows, I'm finding this eye. So I'm thinking about the inner corner, the shape of the eye. Hi, Fergus. Man, it's been a while. I've realized I've not been getting Istebrak's videos or streams popping in my subscription feed. What is the point of subscribing anymore on YouTube if they're going to limit the amount of people that actually see what the subscribe button was built to do? Who's gonna stand up? Where is the Robin Hood of our area that's gonna stand up, of our era, sorry, that's gonna just stop this crap? Like, this is so unfair to those who subscribe and unfair to me as well. YouTube has become the wild, wild west. They don't really care about jack shit. They don't even follow their own rules. All right, so I'm trying to make sure that the expressions, the expressions in both eyes are matching and the eyes are focused. You could try tanking YouTube stock as a threat to Robinhood app. On Robinhood app, that's about all I got. That is funny. Yeah, unfortunately, that is the reality. So just take a look at the before and after. So before, after. So the eyes now both look in the same direction. Pay attention to these small before and afters that I do, because y'all always say, oh my god, look at the before and after, and the full one at the end of class. You guys always say, wow, you know, I don't even know if I can duplicate these changes. But it's just a culmination of small changes, which is why I've been in the habit of showing you smaller before and after. I know for the theatrics of it all, the big one is the best one. But you know, it's not always about that. Sometimes you really don't need the scare factor of the first before and the big before and after. Sometimes you just need to have faith that the small changes you make a difference. You need to try them and not try to duplicate my act as a circus act and try to, you know, oh, I'm going to jump at a loop fly, do a couple things here, a couple things there, throw a couple big brush strokes here, and then, you know, hopefully I have a before and after like hers. You won't have one. I do pay attention to a lot of detail, even in the speed at which I work. So pay attention to the small before and afters as much as the big one. All right, so I'm smudging out the eyebrows. And then from a distance, I'm just going to start correcting your values. All right. And you, I think, overdid it in your rendition for the eyebrows. You get away with way less in your version. The photograph gets away with more because it's a photo. If you mess up your version, it'll look like an old man right away. So you have to be selective with which detail you're preserving. And her eyebrows were actually not that dented as what you made. And you guys are always, oh my lord, with the waterline, and you always overdo the waterline. I'm not sure what the attraction of it is. I don't recall making a video where I said the waterline is the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know who's out on YouTube making these really crazy tutorials with excessive waterline rendition, but I don't know why you guys are seeing it more than I'm trying to figure out my students really. But you guys do put in a lot of effort to make sure the waterline is visible all the way up into the lashes, even if your reference is saying this is a dead zone. I'm not sure where your obsession is coming from, you guys. Enlighten me. What is it? Is it just a young people thing? Do I not get it because I'm old? What is it? Look, there's no waterline light on the inside. So just blank that area out. And there's no waterline light on the outside corner. So where is it coming from? There's only light on where the thing sticks out the most. In fact, this one barely has any light. It's almost camouflaging with the white of the eyes. Yeah, it's so weird that I don't appear at all on his feed. It's so unusual. And it's not that, you know, it's not like he's never visited my streams. We've seen Fergus here a couple of times. So even people who used to be regulars aren't getting any more notifications. That's strange, YouTube. All right, so I'm blending out the lower eyelid and eliminating the excessive waterline. Let me give you a piece of advice from what you perceive as a pro, who you perceive as a pro, which is me. I'm not a pro, but pro enough that I can tutor you guys. So accept my critique just based off my position, right? Overblend the lower eyelid. Go ahead, do it. Overblend it. We're not gonna miss it. What we will miss is if you blend out the upper eyelid crease. We will miss that. That is not something you can mess with. Don't play God. But you can get rid of that that lower eyelid crease altogether, and we won't miss it because that's something that happens in real life. I'm gonna straighten out this crease. The reason I say I'm not a pro is because I try to stay in the habit of being humble. There's a million things I don't know that another artist could teach me, but there are things that I know that I could teach you, and that's one of those things. Blend it out. All right, then I'm just evolving the upper eyelid and the crease to be a part of the same light path. And I'll show you what that means just by this mini before and after. All right, so before, after. Okay, so you see how now they're on the same path? That's how you make it so that they seem like they're on the same level, which they are. They are on the same level. The photo might not have been edited that much. Even if the photo was edited, the scale, like the amount of black in reference to her nose with her mouth blush and the dark spots on her skin by ratio would move together even if it was edited, unless they like really went in and painted these individual areas. But it looks like overcast outdoor light, and she must just be very pale. It's okay. But yeah, your rendition looks much older. Age is another one of those things, along with gender, that you want to capture from your reference. And when it comes to freckles, always smudge them out. And we can talk about why yours looks older. She does not have a face that ages well, as you would say. She was not, like, we would say that her beauty is based off just her youth, not her features. That's the kind of face you're using. So this is the kind of character you would cast for a very strong, unfeminine, or, you know, not so glamorous protagonist in your stories. And that's the truth of the matter, is that we know the pieces that we pick, we cast in our minds for different characters, just the way they are cast in movies and cinema and shows and all of that. Alright, so the upper eyelid needs a bit more light. And you can see how I'm stressing the eyes the most, because these need to be right before I can move on. If I could just get them to look the same, I won't have any more issues everywhere else, because this is my reference. This is my legend. This is how I'm referencing any other changes I do across the board. Alright, I'm going to just add those wispy bits on the eyebrow. Using a larger brush, way too large for the eyes, but just large enough for the eyebrows, because the eyebrows are a degree less than the eyes in focus. And then there's the fact that the eyebrows are further up where you place them, which is why she looks a little bit older than yours. Okay, and then the eyes are smaller, but your version is a bigger painting. I'd say always try to make your painting the same size as your reference if you're going to use this. And then the nose is bigger, so I'm basing it off where the corner is. This corner and this inner corner and this nostril on the same line. And I'm drawing that same line down, and the nostrils are just inside that line. And I'm just looking at where the eyebrows are. Okay. Oops. So widening it might be the change I'm looking for instead of a scale change. And then I think I will do a scale change. Looking at my navigator just to make sure. Sorry, I went silent because I'm just like focused on it. Yours is a bit more narrow, reading as another person. Try to capture the likeness if you are practicing your measurement. Sometimes you don't have to do that. It's just based off artist by artist. Then the mouth is on the wrong tilt along the horizontal symmetry line and the wrong size. The mouth is part of the reason why she's reading as a female. But this could also be a male. She's got very masculine features as well. I mean, it could be a male, period. It doesn't even, it could possibly not even a female. I just refer to it as she. But there's feminine and masculine features. In my eyes, there's more feminine features. Just because of the eyebrow shape and the distance between the eyebrows and the eyes. But it could very well be a prepubescent boy or slightly pubescent. Not prepubescent. So there's a difference between a boy that's 11 and the boy that's 14. Very big bone structure difference, like gigantic differences. I mean, if you've ever had siblings, they don't look anything alike at all. They just got this awkward little mustache and massive jawline that came out of nowhere. Their voice may still be a little bit feminine, but it's getting there. It's good to keep an eye on these things just so that you don't ever draw an accidentally, baby-like boy or a guy or an old man baby. Alright, so I'm just cleaning up here. And then comes the highlights and I'll be almost done. And those are the things I would say that you were missing. I'll probably block in some of the highlights that are missing on the nose too. Alright. And then there's what you did with the pupil and the iris. This is the cheesiest thing that you guys do. It's probably the most newbie thing that you guys do. Just darken the pupil and the iris as you need it. For some reason, it looks like that girl from Silence of the Lambs, and I'm not sure why the painting looks more like that, but the reference does not. I'm not sure. Alright, and then I'm going to expand this nostril this way. And then just trying to get that expression, which can also be done in paint. And then the chin, right where the edge of the mouth is, which is why moving the mouth was so important, because the mouth helps you find the chin. The nose helps you find the mouth, the eyes help you find the nose, the eyebrows help you find the eyes, or you could just start with the eyes, help you find the eyebrows. So get one thing right. Dedicate yourself to getting one part of it right so that you can faithfully move on to the next part without any, second guessing. I'm just gonna keep darkening the pupil in the iris. And again, please stop painting them so early. Paint them later on so that you can, one, get them more circular, and two, get better structure for the eyes. But these are some of my pointers. Hope they help you. I want to shrink them just so I could show you how much more mature your work looks with a shrunken pupil and iris to size. Per your reference. When it's oversized, you can really tell that it was a noob struggle outside of noob skill. Like, you still have like I said before, the stink of the noob on you, but you're painting well, you know. But you've still got some of that, you know, that noob anime influence. That ooh, let me make the eyes a little bit bigger because I love eyes and people love eyes. All right, so I'm making it a little bit more circular, and then now I'm going to shrink it just a touch. Like they got the nose rotation perfect, but those pupils just gotta be they just gotta be enlarged. There's no way around it. You know, they got the freckles down to a science, but nope, pupils go right up. Add more glimmer, add more shine. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very, very intermediate thing to do. It is a moment in your life you never forget, when you're like, you know what? Fuck the stupid shine in the light. I just want to throw that away. I never want to put another sparkle on an eye ever again. Something that happens to you one of those days, you know, you just wake up and you're like, I'm so sick of painting little glitter on the eye. I'm sick of painting around it. I'm sick of painting it too early. Who here has experienced that already? They're just tired of the shine in the eyes. They just want to get the anatomy right. They become obsessed with edges. All right, so you see the before, after, and then that's still after I cleaned it up with my brush before liquefying. Yeah. And then I'm finally gonna put in the rim of the eye. And this isn't, you put sparkly shine. Here, let me get rid of this. Wake you guys up a little bit. Alright, so you put sparkly shine here. That's not what's in the reference. You think it's sparkly shine, but it's not. It's a path of actual light sitting on top like that. It's a reflection of the nearby scene. It's a picture in the glass. In the glass of the eye. That is what you're looking at. So it's this, not that other thing you drew, which is a bunch of highlight. So just a couple of really low opacity brush strokes with a soft brush. Delete away in a curved shape with your hard round. I mean with your, yeah, with either hard round or a blocking. And then decrease the opacity. It'll look like the eyes you painted are actually reflecting something. And for that to be effective, it has to be pretty dark in there under that highlighter. So just don't stop overdoing the highlights in the eyes as well. And then before I finish this one off, I'm gonna just clean up some areas. Jodie Foster, that's her name, right? No? Yes. It's a small little thing right there. And there is a bit of a separation between the nose and the mouth. Kind of like the nose is pushed up more and this is pushed down more. And maybe the mouth itself is actually further down. Something like that. Or probably not. Just the one where we pushed it up. And I think actually instead of moving the mouth, just adding more highlight to the Cupid's bow might make it feel like that space is bigger instead of just darkening it. And then the head shape. Remember, most of your mistakes are probably made because your reference is smaller than your rendition. So try to make them the same size. Because you're seeing a different shape and then you work on yours, you try to impose that shape you saw, but this is zoomed out, so it's a different shape that you're putting on a larger canvas. I would say the eyes are a little bit further apart, but I think this should help you get started on most of the changes anyway. I'm just zooming out just so that I can make 100% sure that I've caught most of the changes that we need. She does not, or he does not have those. We've actually got a pretty strong masculine jawline. And then that there's like that. All right, and you see how I blended out the jawline and how under-rendered the lower body is. All right, so before, after. So you're really oversized the eye, the pupils and the iris. We're just here for the form. I think you overdid it. The eyebrows are a little bit overdone. They still read with the same expression. And then there's the likeness of the mouth. So small changes. I don't want to spend too much time on this one just so I could jump on the next one. But measurement is really important because if you don't, you get a mouth that's skewed off to the side. You get a jawline that's referencing the mouth. So you did it right. It's just that you didn't work with them together and measure them together, which is why your measurements were a bit off. All right. I'm going to do a quick little check of the grayscale as well. So for you, I think you had so many issues right now with all of these values. I think you should not be, I think the mouth is even wider actually in the reference. The mouth really comes out. But because it's 3/4 view, it's not that much on the other side. But before I show you the grayscale, I just want to fix the mouth real quick. Okay, so you can see what's happening with the eyes, with the eyebrows, with the expression in the eyes as well. Yours is more spaced out, kind of out, you know, just a lot. It doesn't really feel like we're being looked at as the viewer, right? So how do you get that? First, shrink the eyes, the pupils in the iris. Bigger pupil and iris you have a harder time making those point at an object because they're so big. When they're smaller, it's easier to decide where they're looking. And second, don't add too much glimmer because it looks like they're, you know, you're trying to pull off some kind of anime staple expression or something. Flattening the eyes. The waterline is just so overdone, so overdone. Makeup is not going to make your painting look like you painted it better. Makeup is just going to add makeup to something that's not painted well. How do I paint it well then? You, in your reference, remove the pupil and the iris. Focus only on the structure of the features. The bones, the eyeballs, the nose, all referenced together. There are more changes I wish I could do, like increasing the size of the eyes. I mean, the size of the nose, decreasing the size of the eyes, but at this point it really doesn't matter if there's a slightly more feminine version or more masculine version in one or the other. It's mostly about getting you to stop those habits of bad measurement. All right. Next up is this one. So there's two ways to fix this. There's a spotlight and then there's a silhouette. I'm going to try to pull off both. It's going to be hard to do because you can't really do that. I might just show you one or the other. But the one I feel like is the best one is the silhouette. Because it's like a stage and there's spotlights behind. But a stage also looks great with a, with a spotlight on top. So either or works for a stage, but I'm saying the one that is the best for like a game intro scene splash, I think would be the silhouette, because you're kind of a mysterious character. You're queuing up for the match, which looks more cool. So I'm trying to separate the body here from the background. Wrong brush. Okay. And then I'm going to try to preserve my lasso so I don't lose it for the rest of the critique. Okay. So I'm just going to preserve it there. Deselect, or just turn that off. And then I'm going to brighten the background. And then I'm going to inverse and darken the characters. So before I do that, I need to decide on what the light sources are, which is these guys. They're not just spotlights. They're going to create a bit of a silhouette. And I'm going to strengthen them wherever they get closer to the guys. Right, and then I'm going to grab that same highlighter and a new layer and just try to brush it across, since it's now the ambient color. And that's going to unify the background under one color. And then I'm going to select inverse and then just choose a nearby ambient tone, and using darken layer, which you guys have seen me do before, I'm going to darken the guys. All right, and I'm also going to color correct them. So now they're darkened per their environment, and then I'm going to merge down, and then really try to evolve what's happening here with the background a little bit. Oopsie, probably should have smudged those bits out, or not use my grainy soft brush for that part. Okay, so now everything is different, everything is separated. Go to before I did my lasso complete. After, alright, so that you can see. So before, after. And then now what you can do is just use a nearby ambient light to reveal their features. So I'm going to start erasing at my darken. But I'm going to start erasing at it just with a really, really careful attention to what is the universal. So the universal can be coming in from here, except that in this case, the universal isn't strong enough to fight off the silhouette. So we still have a really nice dramatic silhouette, just like that. And then we could replace those values with something white. The reason why I'm working with a top-down universal is because I will try to combine the spotlight with the silhouette. And this is kind of where you get points for just how well you're managing both light sources. So select inverse and then just continuing. You're feeling that the light is coming from above. But we still have a very dominant silhouette situation, which I feel like you tried to do considering where all your shadows are pointing. You were just, you know, working too hard to make it seem like that value, because the values you used before, the only way they make sense is if the sky behind them was blue and bright, not with this really, really cool dramatic stage lighting. Remember, this is a basic form study and the light is just coming from above. But if you don't know how to manage something like a silhouette in a form study, you know, that's what you need to just jump on right away. So nearby ambient, and some areas will be more silhouetted than others, and they will get a stronger rim light. That's just the fur catching the light. And I'll strengthen all of this, I'll really boost it up. But before I do that, I just need some basic functional layers. And this isn't light coming in from the side. This is straight up rim light, like subsurface traveling around the hair and anything fuzzy. Any questions at all? So I know I'm zoomed out a bit, but whenever you talk lighting, you've got to zoom out. Why does the fur hair tend to catch light really well? Because it's fine fibers. The light has less obstruction. Compare it to a rock, which has a solid opaque obstruction. Some of the light will seep through, illuminating some hairs, and then the light gets, the hair gets too thick for the light to penetrate it, and then it, you know, starts rejecting the light all around. But before, just on the outskirts of the hair, there will be enough light coming through, almost making the hairs glow. Plus, hair is a little bit translucent, so it's going to let light in more than any other nearby object, like the face, for instance, which is translucent, can have subsurface, but the hair is so far apart, it works as if that's why it is translucent. Plus, each hair isn't necessarily fully opaque either. Okay, and then I'll boost them in a second. I'm also going to desaturate what I've erased away at for the skin, because remember we color corrected, so we don't want orange that can't necessarily, like, it wouldn't exist in this kind of scene, existing in the scene. All right, so I'm really thinking about pushing that spotlight later and trying to combine the two, which will make things look really cool, because we'll have the hand and almost a complete silhouette, but the spotlight coming from above. Same with the gecko or newt here, or salamander, or whatever it is. Light is coming from above, and I'm just deleting at what you had. You had a crap ton of light on it. I'll do it later. So this is me just with my eraser tool, thinking about the spotlight. But the spotlight still was the secondary thing. The main thing was the silhouette. I'm not sure I added enough behind him, so I'll go and do that. Lowering the opacity. And then just letting some of that light really expand to create that atmospheric, like dramatic scene. And then I'm going to let some of that light just kind of exist underneath and behind them. It seems like it's a lifted stage beneath and behind, which will help with kind of just helping them emerge from the scene. And then I'm going to try that silhouette. I mean the spotlight. So the spotlight can be done two ways. It can be done by darkening for the scene just like that, and we could leave it at that. So of course don't want to darken it completely. The crystals I'll deal with in a little bit. You can just darken like that, which I think is a nice way to dim the excessive light on the edges, but I don't want that. I want that really, really strong glow coming out. And that's with the white coming up from above them. And that's a little bit more difficult to do because now you have to go back and delete at nearly everything. So the one with the dark shadow might be what the student opts in for. So we really gotta just delete at everything. I will try to do it with the lasso, see if my lasso can help me. But the color itself is wrong. But that's okay because I could just adjust the color afterward. So let me see if my lasso can help me out. Probably could. Select inverse, go to the layer, and then again we're just pretty much just deleting away at everything. And the light is just coming from above. In fact, most of the light can just be placed behind them, like let me show. Just like that. But that's not how I want to do it. I want to do it so that there's peaks of white on his shoulder merging. So it's just about deleting downward. And I don't think my lasso is helping at all. I want the light to be on top of the background, but not on them in certain areas. And I don't want it to be washed out either. And what I mean when I say peaks of light, I mean this. I know this is going to be crazy, but I'll desaturate it. Just from the spotlight above. I'm sure you can see it. So I'm still deleting away. Some things I might have to go back, like this ribbon. Can stay pretty dark all around except for the areas that look up at the light, which might need a pure white sitting right on top of them. Just because like that's what the spotlight is doing. It's just maxing out the light in certain areas. Right, and then the spotlight itself is also creating something of a silhouette. Except for the areas where it is directly like shining on the characters. And it doesn't have to be a spotlight that hits completely. Oh, my bad. The character's edge to edge, it could just end before each character, just like that. As long as we have the stage on the floor, which I need to clean up. So you're casting long shadows moving down. And you're just eyeballing them. You're just balancing them that way. You don't need to worry about, oh, it's not looking right, or if, you know, it's a silhouette and a spotlight, that's hard to pull. It is hard to pull off. But, yeah, that wouldn't have helped me. But you just have to eyeball it. Select inverse. Now I'm just deleting it. Anything the spotlight simply cannot touch, that goes back to being a silhouette. to the bottom of his hands. And just think about your form studies. You don't know what to delete, think about your form studies. Turn each hand into, you know, a basic form study. Where would the shadows be there? So that I'm going to make into a silhouette. Oh, I completely messed up the lasso of his arm. Damn! I did him dirty. I'm going to let some of that light kind of really spike up around his shoulder. Just like so. And I'll go back in with some bloom. Like for instance on the frog here, we could allow a lot of light on top of his head. So just like that. And on his cheekbone. A little bit on this arm, but the arm itself is casting a shadow down. And the same thing with this guy with all that white. You could, if you wanted to, I want to leave them alone, but add more ribbon highlights. And then because hair does carry, I'm going to let the hair also carry some of that spotlight white. So it's a very tricky light source to try to pull off, a silhouette and a spotlight, but you can do it if you just take your time and understand what light causes what and work with the hierarchy. Even though the spotlight is doing more drama and y'all are saying, ooh, you know, spotlight, the thing that did the most work is the silhouette. That's what gave us the room, the stage for us to shine the spotlight on. So we get to have subsurface where there's fur, but where there's lizard skin, we can't really do that, so we have to rely on the shine to kind of pull out character. And a little bit of bounce light here. I'm gonna get a stronger brush of some kind for his leg, and then we can call it a day. Remember, whatever is not in silhouette goes back to being, and whatever's not in spotlight goes back to being a silhouette. But we still have to make the spotlight shine over these characters, or also look like it's just behind them, and that does not work. And the silhouette gets to be a little bit stronger and sharper the higher up we are, just like that. So it gets to be a sharper entity just at the top. And to make it more interesting, you can try to break it apart. So it's one per character. Alright, so I'm not sure if I'm ready to flatten. I think I've gotten the point across. I do want to start flattening the piece. But you see what I mean when I said we were deleting most of it away. Yeah, dual light sources are fun, you know, inspiring, but they are a lot of work. And this light source, remember, has no color. So I think I'm ready to flatten. I'll just flatten while preserving my lasso tool. If I miss something, I'm sorry. I think I don't want to do that because it's too, we've already done it in yours. Merge down, merge down. All right, so now I can bring my dodge tool and just try to bloom everything at the same time. So I'm being very careful, using it only where I need it, and not being a rube about it. That's the right term, right? A rube? Like a fool? So I'm just throwing those highlights, especially on the tail here. Ah, if I can get the aim right. Just make it look more shiny. Kyle's a rube. Yeah, like a rube. There you go. Like an uneducated person. And then, all right, so you see this highlighter here, this floor? It's gonna jump up onto the belly of the dude, the salamander. And then same thing on the tail. So that he actually looks shiny and slinky. And I'm going to try to do the same thing with the rest of him, just so he looks slinky. And then I'll try to do those brush strokes so I can just clean them up. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to add, which is very theatrical, is just the white bloom bouncing off of the, so it's just me letting the highlight like sit on top, so actually getting a soft brush and letting it glow off the surfaces it falls on. Very dramatic, but also very fun. We need more areas that pick white off of, like for instance the hair could have more bloom, but that needs to be white first. The tail could have much more bloom. You need more opportunities to make that glow come out. If you ever wondered why those leak splashes look so pretty, it's just multiple light sources just like this. Usually having multiple artists work on them. Alright, and then I'm going to, of course, bring the super duper light coming from above. First one I'm going to do is just the big one, which I can't do with this stinking brush. This brush is so French. Don't use me for the common critique hour. I have too much detail. I'm too fancy to use on these paintings by these rubes. Shut up and do your job. Alright, and then and then so you can see the benefit of that glow coming from above. See that? Detail. Alright, so see that big difference just from a little soft brush use. Right, and then I'm going to turn that layer off because you can't really work with that on, and just try to get his chest to be a little bit more shiny. And you see how you had so much detail happening on the eyes and the face and all that? I really didn't need it. I'm going to grab that. I mean the saturation, sorry. I need to turn that back to normal as well. And just try to clean up. And then I'll show you the big before and after. So I didn't do many before and afters for this one just because I'm running out of time. Right. There's a lot of shine there now. I want to keep the ribbons in some kind of silhouette just because, you know, we're just deciding on what's a silhouette and what's not. But this should be all around a lot more easy to look at than where it was before. I'm going to just darken a touch. And you could do a much better job on the ground underneath than I did. Like you could have a cleaner silhouette, a spotlight rim. Just like that, which actually I'll just do. And the hand is casting a shadow. And this looks a lot more like a, like a full-on splash. Oh, the tail does not have any blue on it. It's okay if it's a bad job that I'm doing right now. I'm just gonna go to the layer before I did all that. And then clean. I usually do that. I usually just paint however I want and then go in and clean by detailing. Because I'll know the paint I added was zoomed out and the erasing I did was zoomed in. So I know that I've added enough paint for this area that once I zoom out, it should just look clean. Then I'll edge the inside with a soft brush because it is a soft surface. But the edge remains sharp. That should be more than enough. Alrighty, before I get going, I'm going to just darken one more time the areas that get no light, neither spotlight nor ambient. Just really darkening the dark areas. Just because we need that. Alright. We have to merge that down. Alright, goodbye lasso. I won't need you, right? Before, after. Before, after. So we did a lot of work on the spotlight, sure, but the silhouette is really what makes it work. And that's how you get two light sources. One is always dominant, one is always secondary. Omelette du fromage. Before, after. The new Zara and Swain splash is absolutely amazing. Probably the best I've seen make aside from the Viridian Kale splash. A lot of the new splashes are amazing, like the Morgana rework. I love that one. The Misfortune Bilgewater, whatever. I love that one. The orange peeling Gragas, not Gragas. Captain Gangplank. Oh baby. Hella. From flat to wow. But you guys saw me do it all in front of you. The spotlight is why this is popping. That's the star of the show. Don't be fooled by the tricks of the glow. Please don't say wow. Don't be fooled by the tricks in the glow. The reason why this looks good was because it was a light background and a dark object. Write that back to me. Alright. So that's it for today. Thank you everyone for coming. If you want to join us on Critique Hour, go to istebrak.com and click on the Reddit icon to join. Portrait Studio is still on sale. I will probably raise it back up, not to the original price. I will keep it on a general sale price, probably at $55 by the end of this month. So next week it'll go up to $55. So if you want Portrait Studio now, this is the lowest it'll ever be. All my brushes are also on sale. You've seen me use them today, from the smudge brush to the hard edge brush to the soft brush, the French brush. No offense to all my French users. I'm not trying to offend you or anything. And then go to the Reddit icon to join us on Reddit. Join. If you learned something today, and make sure you read through the community challenge. It's going to be really fun. Looking at all those Aztec warrior princess with the bow submission. If you haven't joined it, join it. I mean, read through it, join it. If you joined it last time, you want to join it again, do it. But yeah, if you have learned something from today's class and you want to give back somehow, you can always join as a $1 patron. It really doesn't need to be a big pledge that you have to do that takes a toll on your financial landscape. You can just be $1 a month, and if you can get your other friends to come in and learn from the classes, maybe they can join as well, and that's just totals up at $12 a year. So if everybody joins, it's a lot, is all I'm saying. I'm not trying to, I'm basically PBS. I'm not trying to, I'm going to give the information out anyway for free, but if you want to give, it's open for it. All right? PBS to Brack. Thank you everyone for joining. I'll see you guys on the 28th, hopefully, if I feel better, at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Bye guys, and good luck with your challenge submissions.